It's me now. Time for my talk. The first slide. Let me turn this on. I have to remember to click things. So, the title of my talk today is What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. And it came about after a conversation I had with Reverend Kathy about a week and a half ago when she asked me to speak today. And I got off the phone thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? I just got back from Thailand. I'm in transition with my own ministry, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I decided, well, maybe I should make my talk about that. The process is of going through, making up your mind, getting clear about which direction to take. Sometimes we have little tiny decisions to make. Like, what are some decisions that you made even today, coming here? What to wear? Yes. I had a friend text me this morning saying, are you allowed to wear pants there? And I said, well, I wrote her back something a little different, funny about, I don't care what you could show up naked for all I care. But the idea that we sometimes make a big deal out of little decisions and we sweat over them. In fact, she said, now I'm going to have to spend the next 2 hours figuring out what to wear. And so sometimes the little decisions can take up so much energy, but also the big ones. What are some big decisions we have in life? Changing jobs, changing relationships. What else? Moving, new car, what to do, where to go. So many. Marrying? Get married or not, get divorced, who knows? Well, I decided, when I was doing this talk with my computer open, and I kind of had these news things going on in the background, and all of a sudden, while I'm writing this talk, a headline popped up that said, physicists say it's okay not to know. And I felt such great relief. I was like, okay, great if you get something out of this talk, but if you don't, the physicists say it's okay. Now, good. Are you just waiting around for something to drop? Maybe you're kind of like this well-trained dog who's waiting for the little girl to drop a few crumbs. You're not quite going after what you want in life, but you're sitting there, well-behaved. I love that statement, well-behaved women rarely make history. So don't just do what others expect of you. Are you afraid to dance? Just letting someone else do the steps for you? How many of you like line dancing? Yeah, I liked it in the beginning, but then I realized I was not so good at it. And I'd go and hide in the back, but after a few different moves, everybody would turn and I'd be in the front having to lead it. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I thought, I don't like having to follow someone else's steps. I kind of like to come up with my own because it's like you give your power away. And anyway, so letting yourself create your own steps in life. And why is this important? Why is it important to make up our own decisions? We are all unique, and the experts say there's power in decision. Raymond Charles Barker, one of my favorite authors, he said, a decision alerts the subconscious energies that a sound and solid idea is being accepted by the conscious mind. Upon that acceptance, the law of consciousness acts, and a new event or situation is born. Now think about that. First of all, I love the graphics here, these little floating thingamajiggies. They remind me of what quantum physics states of how the observer, when it observes an energy or form, it collapses from a wave particle into a wave function into a particle, a solid particle. So it's like thoughts becoming things. And I know that's a bit complicated, and I actually said floating thingamajiggy in the same sentence as quantum physics. So it's really complicated. You got to break it down sometimes. So by making a decision, We give form or direction to our ethereal ideas. Now, I've created a couple pointers to help me, but hopefully to help you as well. And the first one is kind of easy. Take time to breathe. And so in this moment, I just want you to all take a deep breath in and relax. And another deep breath in and relax. And the reason why that is so powerful is it kind of tricks the body into realizing that we're not being chased by a tiger. We can know that there's nothing to fear when our breathing is slow and regular. So when you're having to make a decision, it's important to remember to breathe. The second, or no, not the second tip, but also along the lines of breathing is to find a place that you can relax into and listen. Did you know that listen and silent have the exact same letters? So we're in that silent place. We allow ourselves to listen to what's being brought up within us that guides us. The second point or tip is be curious. Pursue what's calling you. Now, it's not about sticking your head in the sand. It's about diving and digging down for that buried treasure. So curiosity might have killed the cat, but it inspired the dog. So be like the dog. Go after what's calling you, despite what you think about it. Albert Einstein said, "The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. One cannot help but be in awe when he contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality." Think about that. We live in an amazing, marvelous universe. It's expanding all the time. There's so much to be curious about. If you don't feel it, look at what the Webb telescope is showing us every day. It's like, whoa, I am curious about what's going on out there. And so it allows you to not get stuck in your life, to know that there are more things to investigate, more ideas to be had. Now, some ideas don't light up very readily. Those are the ideas that you should just let die. But other ideas, they light up right away. They spark our interest, and they help guide us along the path that we're moving. What do you see here? Two darling little Thai boys in front of a red door. And if you look further, you realize that depending on your perspective, that's why I loved your song about perspective, because you're either, if you're expecting four walls and a ceiling, you're going to be disappointed with your decisions. But if you open the door and you discover there's a whole world of infinite possibilities right in front of you, then you come alive. You're not constrained in your decisions. Now, the awkward Yeti has the head and the heart walking along, and the head says, "How are you so positive when life is so difficult?" And the heart responds, "We'll get where we're going no matter what, good or bad. We might as well enjoy what we can along the way." So think about that. What brings you joy? Because when you make a decision from a place of joy and peace, the decisions become so much more positive. They attract to them this energy of things that make you joy. The universe says, "Oh, you're feeling this way, I'm going to give you more of that." So allow yourself to be in that place of joy. Let's just throw out some ideas. What brings you joy? Is it kayaking at the sunset? Fishing, playing drums. What else? Being in nature. What was that? Music. Music, yes. What else? Time with friends. And And family, yes. So many things give us joy. We have tools all around us to build that basis of decisions. So when you look at your joys, think, have they changed over time? Am I still doing the same things? Now, for about a week, I got to observe 3 grown men getting up every morning and building a new sandcastle because the one the day before got wiped out by the high tide. They didn't care. They got up, and each day the sandcastle got better and better. This had shells and coral, even a pirate flag, and they did it with gusto. They were so excited. It was like, okay, got to build the sandcastle. They didn't care that it was wiped out every night. They did it for the joy of it. So what are your sandcastles in life? What are you doing just for the joy? You don't care if they're going to be there forever, but you find that deep gratitude in just making it happen. The third point or step is transform fear into love. Now, this was a true experience for me where we either make decisions based in fear or love, first of all. And over the 3 years that I was in Thailand during the pandemic, I heard stories about different elephants breaking free into the jungle. And because of their hunger, lack of tourists to feed them, they grew more wild. And some of them hurt or killed people. And so over the years, I was coming up with a little trepidation about being around them. But the moment I touched this elephant's trunk, I felt such a peaceful, loving connection. I realized there was nothing to be afraid of. Because things aren't always what they seem. Now, I don't know if you could tell, but this is like a 50-foot high statue. I went to the statue park in northern Thailand. And here, the Buddha's at the top, meditating under a 7-headed serpent. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I'd choose this spot to meditate in. Looks a little scary to me. But upon research, that serpent is there to protect the Buddha, not to harm him. So many things in our life that we're afraid of might be there for a different reason, a protective level that we're not aware of. What can appear as a disaster to some, a dangerous condition, to others is the perfect right environment to grow and thrive and blossom. So from our vantage or perspective, it's really difficult to make a judgment and say, oh, that person's doing it all wrong. Why are they there? Why would they choose to do such and such? We can't see how those conditions are the exact conditions that they need to grow in or the lotus flower needs to thrive in. Ernest Holmes says, the first step in overcoming any fear is to concede that God is for us. This done, we have at once overcome the fear by seeing that there is nothing to be afraid of. The world is all right, and we can meet it on its own terms. Think about that for a second. Instead of believing in a fearful God that is up in the sky judging, evaluating, punishing us, allow your mind to accept that there's this energy all around us that's supporting us, that's paving the way, creating a beautiful flow for us to step into. And when we begin to look more deeply at our fears and trust, we realize that ultimately there's only love. Even if we have mud on our head, something wants to come and love us. Number 4 is be confident. Trust your inner being. We all have an inner light that guides us along our path. But, this is huge, so many of us suffer from an addiction to feeling unworthy or undeserving. of what we want in life. It's a huge stumbling block if you feel that you're not even worthy to have what you're asking for. But I want to remind you that we all have within us a golden Buddha. Maybe you've heard the story of the golden Buddha in Thailand, a true story about how hundreds of years ago this monastery was being attacked by an invading tribe. And the monks knew they had to hide the golden Buddha so it wouldn't be taken. And they covered it in mud. And then they were all killed. So the story of the Buddha in there was gone. Well, hundreds of years later, one day the rain started dripping through, and somebody came in and saw this light coming from what was seemed like just this clay Buddha. And it revealed the solid gold Buddha. We are all born worthy. There's nothing we need to do to be loved, to be accepted. So I think my headphone, it's still working good. So each soul comes to the earth with gifts. And each particular individual, each soul brings the particular configuration of the life force that it is to the needs of the earth school. It does this with purpose and intention. Gary Zukav from The Seat of the Soul. Now, I like to think that when we're born, we're all like one of these dots. We come and we fill up the space and create connections. And the game of connecting the dots would not be complete without our particular being there. We have something to offer through what we're doing, our choices, our ideas. This web would not be complete without you being who you are in each moment. This young Thai woman shared with me her gift of doing a tea ceremony. I was really delighted to sit there as she did each movement with precision. And she was very deliberate with intention and purpose to each step. She gave me that gift of almost perfection. But some of us, maybe we were born a hairless cat, and we just need to put our little princess crown on and move forward down our catwalk with confidence, because that's the way cats are. So what are your possibilities? For some of us, we have too many possibilities and we can't decide. And others, we feel that those are limited. So for me, when I was in Thailand this last time, I knew that my possibilities had to include working with children whom I love and telling stories and sharing puppetry. And on usually a good day, I'm smarter than a first grader, so I knew I could go and talk with them and do workshops and teach them as well as the teachers. So think about what your possibilities are. As I followed my inner guiding light, I made different decisions. And the fifth one is visualize the end result. If you notice, at first it was kind of light, and then it got darker and clearer, this image. And that's kind of how our visions are sometimes as well. They don't always come into focus right away. We need to just allow them to come up to the surface and ask ourselves, from that place of joy, what am I desiring to do? Because when you are grateful and see it in your mind's eye, the universe acts upon it. You don't have to know how you are going to get there. I love this tuk-tuk. Anybody ever ride a tuk-tuk? They're really fun and loud, and you think you're going to die most of the time in them. But eventually you get where you need to be. When I got to the Bangkok airport coming down from another place, I accidentally got on the wrong bus. I didn't know it was wrong until like halfway down when I realized I wasn't going where I thought I should go, and I was too embarrassed to say anything. So I just kind of wound up in this new place. It turned out to be the best possible place for me at the time. I couldn't have planned it better. So trusting those serendipitous times when things kind of flow for you and you don't know why you're there or here and you're still figuring out why that tuk-tuk's on your path, but it gets you to where you need to be. Richard Bach said, "To bring anything into your life, imagine that it's already there." And as those colors begin to fill in and get more vibrant, and you realize that you're not just a blob, you are a beautiful, purpose-filled dot that's adding to the giant mural of life. There's excitement in that. What do you see here? Just call it out. What is it? Ring around the moon? Yeah? Okay. Also a full moon. This was taken one of the full moons in January. And it reminded me that the moon is actually full 365 days a year. If we went up there right now, there'd be no less moon. It's just all the illusion of light. So we have to remember that we are already whole, complete, and perfect. And it's the light of our consciousness that we just need to shine on our life and make that more profound, make that come alive for us with whatever decision we're making. So a quick review if you missed some of the points. The first one, breathe. The second one, be curious. Pursue what's calling you. The third, transform fear into love. And fourth, be confident with your inner guide. Trust that. And the fifth is visualize the end result. And now, if these don't resonate with you, I have one final tip. Okay, this is very powerful. It has the king's head on one side and a symbol that I don't quite know on the other. Now, what I want you to do, trust me, this is very powerful, so take it seriously. I want you to think about what something would mean if this lands on heads for you. Like maybe buy a car if it lands on heads, don't buy the car if it lands on tails, okay? Ready? Go ahead and see that in your mind's eye. Go ahead and get that. It is heads. Now, I want you to ask yourself, how did you feel when it landed on one side or the other? That initial reaction that you had of either yes or oh no, that's your guide telling you what you should do. So you always have this inner knowing within you. And sometimes silly little techniques like this help you get clear on what you need to do in life. So keep a coin around if you need to. And just remember with me now that we are always being guided to our next right decision, our next